Hi everybody, it's CJ Miller. I'm in Shreveport, Louisiana, across the Red River. I'm looking at through the window is beautiful Bossier City, Louisiana, and yeah, it's a little foggy out there. Always, I want to invite you to come check us out if you're coming through Shreveport, or if you want to go to a place that's different than your usual vacation spot. We have a lot of really great, fun things going on. Uh, okay, so yeah, I didn't condition my hair; it's a little frizzy right now. Sorry about that. Uh, um, I'm really happy to report that mostly what I do is reaching out on these little videos. It's basically just to reach out to people that I don't normally get to meet uh, or ever in my daily life. So that's kind of cool that my viewership is growing slowly but surely. But I really appreciate the subscribers. That's kind of neat. And for the people who subscribe, that's kind of neat. And it's representative of a lot of people who see my videos and just decide not to subscribe. At least I get to make a contact to say hello. I like to do different things with my videos too. Like it may be, uh, I don't know. Basically, just usually I start out with nothing, no idea or anything of what I'm going to do or what I'm going to talk about or whatever. And then sometimes, for a while there, I had I was doing little episodes of my houseplants. That's how mundane it gets sometimes. Um, but I love to do videos of like when I go to shows. I do concerts. I love to go to concerts and take videos and share that because I remember being a little poor kid in the American South, and we just did not have money, and I never really got to see a stage show. Uh, growing up, I didn't start doing that until I was an adult, and we just didn't have anything like that. We had the Louisiana State Fair, and every so often maybe there would be a band come through that the state fair had playing at the bandstand. Uh, but that was um, it wasn't very often, and it wasn't very often that we got to go. And the thing that got me when I was very young in third grade. Uh, so yeah, I was very young. I was in third grade, right? Uh, I don't even remember what age I was, like 8 or 9 years old or something. I don't know. I remember that, and it was my sister that hit me to it, my older sister. But there was a band, Queensryche, and they were going to be in town the same time of the state fair. They were going to be playing at a Hearst Coliseum, and we were way too young to be at a venue like that anyway. But even if we could go, we wouldn't have had the money. But yeah, we just weren't allowed to go. And we went to the state fair that night, and I remember the Hearst Coliseum is on our state fairground, so we were actually able to stand outside of the Hearst Coliseum and hear this loud pounding guitar-based music coming from inside of the Coliseum. And of course, later on, my sister got a cassette recording of Queensryche, and this was I think they were doing like the Electric Eye tour. I even think that's what it was. I'm not sure, but yeah. And I heard the music, and it was like, wow, these guys, this is it. I love this. Um, it wasn't. My life had already been kind of changed by music, affected by music, because when I was a little kid. I was a little kid then, but even a younger little kid. Uh, and we were living in Amelia, Louisiana. And I told this story on this channel before, but I remember that, you know, New Year's Eve that day, I was all about a country song. The Kendalls, Heaven's Just a Sin Away. Love that song. Heaven's just a sin away, oh, just a sin away. But that night we stayed up and watched Dick Clark. as the new year was turning, and I think it was 79 going into 80. And oh my God, among everything that was going on, you have to understand this was when punk was just beginning to have mainstream appeal, and the punk that we got was, you know, mild compared to what was really happening. And I know that now because what was radio friendly was toned down from what the punk scene actually was. What was happening, say, in New York or East London, even or whatever. But yeah, still, I didn't even know the word, punk as in punk rock at this time. All I knew was that morning it was Heaven's Just a Sin Away from the Kindles, you know, and that night, uh, what I saw, especially the band Blondie, and they did three songs that stick to my head that I remember. They made three appearances, and each time it was more extreme and more loud and more out there than the next. And um, so they did, obviously they did Heart of Glass. I don't think that's the one. That wasn't the one they did first, though. They did The Tide is High, um, Heart of Glass, and Call Me. They did those three songs. I think it seemed. I'm not sure about Call Me, but I'm pretty sure those are the ones that were being played that were out there, the big hits. Because I don't think they didn't do Rapture that New Year's Eve. That was coming out soon, But and all I know is that those performances from Blondie, especially the performance of uh, Heart of Glass, and the whole like ooh, going out, the outro of that song in particular, really just I fell in love with that song. When I look at a musician and I get like hero worship for musicians, or how people get like this fandom for their musicians, and they kind of like get into this frantic, frothing frenzy of admiration and just throw themselves at their musical heroes. I don't get like that. I'm not really in love with the people, but I do fall in love with the musician that they are, if that makes any kind of sense. When they're in their element, I fall in love with them. And retrospectively, because I didn't have an awareness of this person, but in the '80s, I became aware of a guy uh, who composed like all of his music, and he's a multi instrumentalist, and I truly fell in love with him. And his name was Mike Oldfield. And you'll know his best known work was Tubular Bells, which was used in the theme for The Exorcist. And it's that whole thing that people really get familiar with, dun, 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 that whole progressive, um, you know, uh, feel and vibe. He pretty much, uh, I think what he did was he borrowed from a lot of genre. That would have been like umbrellaed under like a psychedelica or something like that. He took like a lot uh, of subgenres and brought them together in this long piece, this long 45-minute musical piece called Tubular Bells, and it was great. And it's you can listen to it, and he's done several uh, re, revamped, really what amounts to sequels. He's done Tubular Bells, and he did like that. That was he. It was actually the first Virgin Records release. So he actually yeah, is responsible for the success of what was Virgin Records, and then of course Virgin Airlines. They got. I don't know if they're still, if that's, I don't, haven't heard anything from them. Are they still an airline? I don't know, but it was the same thing, you know. Anyway, yeah, all that big, huge, that was all started with the success of Mike Oldfield. It would have either have been it would have been success or failure based on uh, the revenue that was going to be brought in. So, um, but so Tubular Bells, he did the Tubular Bells. A total of 45 minutes, both front and back of a long play uh, vinyl, and had a few more releases in that vein, and then he started getting pressured for like short cuts, radio releases, and I like some of that stuff. I really do. Um, he did a lot more of that going into the 80s, and what they did was they put pressure on him to release um, a recording called Tubular Bells 2, and of course he declined to do that. He released one more record for Virgin Records, and then basically told them to kiss off, and he signed with another. Uh, he signed with another record company after that, another label, and um, his first release for that was Tubular Bells too. So he actually created a sequel to spite. Like, this company was like, "Hey, you got to do this," and he was like, "Screw you, I'm not going to do it." And he released something, and then he, um, fulfilled his contract, and then went to the next record company, and then just to give them the ultimate, kind of fu, actually did a recording called Tubular Bells too, and that actually became pretty good. You know, uh, like I bought the CD and was like, wow. I'm like, uh, this is far out. He created a blend that could be considered, with especially with the first Tubular Bells album, uh, elements of new age, uh, guitar bass rock, which we know he didn't invent that, but progressive rock. The whole like whoa 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 whoa. The whole growling and grunting vocals, and his purpose in that, this Tubular Bells, they wanted a section of this album that would be did you hear that, my fake progressive growling lyrics? I can't do that. Yeah, whatever, I can't. But yeah, but they did. He wanted, they were like, he was like 17, and they were or whatever, recording this, and they were, because he worked on it for several years. That's why it was so great. He put a lot of work into it. Uh, he When I tell a story, I never tell it linearly. I'm so. Uh, but he, so you're gonna hear me hopping around as I'm talking. But he basically said that everything that was going on in his life, he put on that record. And one of the things was they were pressuring for a radio edit. People he was working with, and blah blah blah. And it's like, he was like, that's not really what this is about. This is an art piece. So it was, I'll get into the other genres in a minute. But he went in very drunk and went into the studio and recorded the vocals for the uh, uh, B side of Tubular Bells, which you know uh, is great. And that's the earliest that I remember hearing. I know there were some elements of progressive rock on other music before, but he really was the one that broke it out, that really kind of gave that first definition of what it was in that particular section, which is so beautiful because it's there on the B side of the second half of Tubular Bells, but it's such a small part of overall, what is everything overall, that it doesn't get a lot of notice. It doesn't get the recognition that it should get. But there are other things that this is a blended genre, and it's progressive for one thing because it starts in one place and then progresses to the next and progresses to the next. But also that opening, I really can't pull it off. I cannot, I can't pull it off. Uh, I could if I had the notes right in front of me, like anyway. Anyway, it starts with this beautiful melodic progression, and then it goes through everything, and it ends up with at the end of it, you hear like a rendition of the sailor's uh, hornpipe or something like that, which it used to end round up the Popeye the Sailor cartoons, so but yeah, it was great. So anyway, Mike Oldfield, and I will say uh, the musician that I most admire in my life, uh, and he's from the UK, but the musician that I love the most out of all of them was Mike Oldfield, and by far the most varied that I've seen. I've seen him work with more instruments, uh, and he's done some vocals, but he doesn't appreciate his great his singing. He doesn't think that he sings very well, so he hardly ever had done his own vocals. But anyway, it was because of him that I wanted to learn how to play piano and keyboard, and of course, uh, I don't know how to play, but uh, I did make that one of my resolutions that I would play my keyboard more often. And it's by playing that you learn and that you get a little better than what you were before at anything, So here we go. Let me turn this down. I, I really suck at chord changes. I'm just going to play around. There's no purpose or rhyme or reason. If you hear like that's called a trill. A few little keys being kind of tickled together. You know. I've often said that anytime I'm playing, I always feel like that I'm not really playing. I feel like I'm a little kid with some paper and Crayolas, and I'm scribbling. can do, though, is try to convey emotion. I did train myself by ear to play a couple of things that kind of might sound familiar. No. Uh, well, yeah, I was raised in a fundamental Baptist, and so we always heard the piano and the organist playing hymns. We didn't have like a full on band or anything like that. Every once in a while, there'd be like, I don't know. I don't even remember their names. There was like this little family, and they would come on, and somebody had a drum kit, and somebody had a little guitar or something. But it was like almost hee haw jug band kind of Baptist kind of. Uh, if you think of Carter family, uh, June Carter Cash, or you know, before she was married to Johnny Cash, the Carters, or whatever, that kind of stuff. That's maybe what they would do a little bit of, but it was like, God, that it didn't really do it for me. I also promise. I'm sorry. Let me get a soda. I'm I'm getting dry. Hang on. There we go. I'm sorry. I promised that I'm not sick. I was just talking a lot and making my throat dry, so I have to stay hydrated. So, but anyway, yeah. Uh, did that change the timbre at all? I'm like, I don't think that did it. Okay, cool. We get different voices on this thing. Actually, there's like uh, several. Let's see. Yeah, there's about 254 different voices on this very inexpensive keyboard, and I have the codes to about half of them, and then the other half are in the manual, which I no longer have the manual, but I can look it up online. But how good it is that's loud, way loud. I think, that I enjoy about keyboard is that it's very you can experiment a lot with it, like because I really don't know how to play. I know a few different chord shapes, and I know uh, what the notes are, and I know where they lie and everything, but I don't really know um, how to play, you know. And that's that's the great thing about it because I can just sit at a keyboard and basically just kind of let follow the tones as I start. It doesn't matter where I start. Um, the tones that I'm playing are going to tell me kind of in the general direction of where I want to head for the next tones, how they'll kind of like come together like letters, making words making phrases, and uh, basically expressing musical idea, you know. So that's kind of cool. But I also need another sip of my soda. Hang on. There we go. I'm keeping my soda very far away from very far away from my keyboard. I'm clumsy, you know. Oh my god. So it's like this is one of these things where it's like I don't know. Ziggy, what time is it?
The time is 2 a.m.
Yeah, it's 2 a.m. I'm like thinking it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Yay. Sorry. Um yeah. So I get this whole like insomnia vibe. Um but that I've been like that since I was a little kid. Do you remember I told you I stayed up and I watched the New Year's Eve special in going into 1980? Boy, I have always loved the night. Alicia Bridges had a song. Yeah, I love the nightlife. I love the boogie, and then of course, Blondie. The lead singer, Debbie Harry. The reason why the band took a hiatus after the tour to promote the album Blondie the Huntress. And they didn't do an album after that as Blondie. And it's because Chris Stein, uh, um, Debbie's partner, became kind of sick. And so touring constantly to promote new music was something that she couldn't do because she was going to, even though they weren't a couple anymore, she really was going to be the good friend and stay with him and kind of figure out what the sickness was. And I don't think they ever really found out what it was, but he did get over it, you know. Uh, but and in lieu of that, she did, you know, some movie and some TV work. Um, but and then of course she had a couple of solo projects, and one of her singles was um, what's the name of the song? I don't know it, but it's "Nighttime is the right time." Nighttime is for me, and I was like, yeah, that's what it is. I'm just got, it's not that I'm an insomniac and that I can't sleep. That's not the problem. I'm nocturnal. I sleep in the daytime, you know, and so I love being up at night. But I'm also not the kind of person that I don't just go out to clubs uh, and sit around. Vainly uh, throwing money at cocktails and things like that. Um, I'm just I live at night. Um, but there's a lot more to do with living at night than say living in a bar. Now I do go out to clubs and bars with friends and stuff like that, but I don't smoke dope. I don't drink. I don't I don't do drugs. And I don't sleep around, and so That's not really my life unless I'm going out to see like a live show, like a live music or whatever. I do love going to rock concerts. Um, well, any kind of show that's a good show. If the music's good, then I'm gonna enjoy it. You know, give me music. I love music. Let's see. I want to change the. That almost has like a theremin type quality. You know that the instrument they used in all the sci-fi music in the 50s, where you just like play by disrupting a magnetic field. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna like sit here for a second and I'm gonna go for it, like maybe a head change, kind of like change my frame of thought, and maybe I can change a little bit of what I'm playing. That almost sounds. Let's see. This that sounds a little honky tonkish. So let's see if I can't do something. I don't know. I don't like that. Let's see. Why? What am I doing? Okay, hang on. Oh, okay, so basically what I've been doing is pressing buttons, trying to change the rhythm, and not quite knowing how to do it. This is kind of cool. This is kind of like kind of a rock and roll tempo, like. I don't know that I love that. Cool, whatever. Anyway, I'm just having fun. If you're still with me, God bless you. Somehow I feel a little bit more astral, a little bit more into it, a little bit more free without the rhythm, you know. But I also think that's the only way that I can get. I think playing the rhythm is the only way that I actually can get um, the automatic chord changes. You know, which kind of like it's kind of like having an extra hand, so that I don't have to worry about you know choosing a chord and then playing like some weird stuff inside of that chord and then change. It's so what I'll do is I'll maybe we'll start it, but maybe I'll slow the tempo down so far or so slow that it really just doesn't register. All right. I'm also not digging this voice here, so Anyway, I just wanted to make some noise, uh, either through talking, rambling, making no sense, or by making no musical sense with my keyboard whatsoever. But, you know, I will be making more videos with music and some of the instruments that I play in an attempt to, get better at playing them. And let's see, some of them that I have several guitars that I play. I have a bass guitar, you know, that that I that's different. I thought it would be, oh, it's practically the same, but no, it's a whole different feel. Just holding the bass guitar, which I don't know, should shouldn't be that different than a guitar. It feels different, just I don't know, just something conduently feels different. Uh, it's like a different energy coming through me. With each different instrument that I play, I feel different. Uh, I have some drums, well, they're not like they're electric drums, but they take up way more room than I have. And I'm thinking of setting them up like right here in front of this window because I scarcely open the window. And I don't think that. So if you take something and put it in front of an open window where I live, it's going to grow mold. Uh, that's what cold weather and, does in front of an open window. It will grow mold. So that's why I don't keep the windows open unless I'm actively looking out of them or I'm freshening the apartment or something like that. And when I do, I don't have things in the open window. Um, and I found that out because I had this wonderful sofa. This wonderful. I didn't really even spend any money. It was like a gift. And this was, oh my God, probably about 12, 13 years ago. Beautiful red sofa. And I had it sitting in a window, and in this window was a window unit that I would, the air conditioning, but it would blow right on the back of the sofa, and it did start to grow mold, and I was like, oh my God. uh, so no more furniture in front of open windows, and really nothing else of certainly of value like instruments in front of an open window. But I am thinking of, since I don't open this window that often, setting up the electric drums right here. The only thing is, I have a chair, like a reclining massage chair, that I really wouldn't be able to use if the drums were right here. But, you know, uh, oh, I play harmonica a little bit, you know, probably with about as much proficiency, which is next to none, that you heard me playing this keyboard just now. And then, let's see, yeah. Um, just various percussion instruments. Um, I have a wind recorder. We all learned how to play those things in second and third grade. But not more than just a few notes. Uh, And but you really, if you can play like a few decent notes on any instrument, and you can play them on a few different, uh, just a few different notes on a few different instruments, and then you can sync them up uh, to where they actually can play over each other and sound good, and maybe you know, um, you can make that work. You could be, a living room musician like me. Not that, that you're going to play to any professional level, but the whole idea of something like this is that you kind of maybe can learn to do something to entertain yourself. That's what that's what my videos are about. I want people to learn about how much I love my hometown of Shreveport, Louisiana, all the things we have in the surrounding areas, and to always invite people to come check it out. But then I also want to invite people to try new things when you're home by yourself. Um, I do paintings. I have some of the paintings behind me. Some of them I've made videos earlier on as the stages as I was painting, because I'll start on a canvas and start painting it, and I will paint on this thing for a month, sometimes 3 months on one painting, just like finessing it, until I get what I want. Yeah. That's the only three that I have here that I've done. I think I've maybe got one or two maybe that I've done uh, that I haven't put up. Most of them I sell. You know, uh, it's just that I don't have my Facebook account, and I used to sell everything over Facebook. I didn't go through Etsy or anything like that. It was just like word of mouth. Uh, but yeah, and as I paint, I would talk about my process, my thoughts, everything that I'm talking about now, just random stuff. And then, um, if people connected and they vibed and they wanted the painting, then we would work out that I would sell the painting for about what it cost to make. And then, of course, the cost of packing and shipping materials, and just enough to further along um, my painting supplies. Um, so if you are interested in a painting, uh, you can reach out to me or whatever in the comments, and um, then we'll end up exchanging information. You'll have to, I'm sorry, we'll exchange like emails or something like that. You know, um, yeah. I've got to have another sip of soda. If you basically, if you got into this part, that's kind of cool. That's probably why I never really sell anything anymore. I always wait till I get to like the end of my video before I start talking about what kind of art that I want to do. But yeah. Anyway, if you're here and you're listening to this and you have an interest in anything creatively, then I encourage you to explore that, go out and do it. My big thing now is I'm writing, which that's not a big thing now. I've always been writing. I've always been a writer. But I am making a composition that I'm going to be uh, self-publishing via Amazon when it's completed. I've got to mostly a completed stage, but then I decided that because it's basically this is a large volume of poetry and poetic thoughts, and some of the artwork you will see on this YouTube channel. Some of them not really, because some of them I made on the when I had my Facebook. And I started out with Facebook when there first was a Facebook. app on a smartphone, a 3G smartphone. Uh, I My niece actually uh, started the thing for me, the Facebook account, and that's the only one I've ever had. And I got to some point later on in life, it was like, oh my God, yes, I have thoughts. Yes, I have personal feelings about the ways of the world and the people that live within it and the way that we react and treat. But I just wanted to get away from all the clashing of ideas. I think ideas can be exchanged uh, and shared and experienced without having to be in direct contradiction, even if the way that you feel about any particular topic is um, not the same as mine. That doesn't mean that how those ideas relate and how we relate our ideas with one another, it does not have to be adversarial. And that's what Facebook had kind of was turning into. And of course, now, and it's been a slow thing going on, the whole meta thing, right? Uh, the only thing that appeals to me now is they've got like the smart glasses. Hey, Meta, it's basically like when I talk to Ziggy, Zicky. My sister's name is Vicky. Anyway, I can like relate to the Echo Dot, which I renamed uh, Ziggy. That's about as high tech as I need to get. But those glasses are kind of cool. But I've seen some of the new AI, and I don't think that the AI is really anything to worry about. I really don't. Nothing that AI does isn't, and it predicted text. The only thing that this AI does that I've seen is it predicts next word prediction. Like if I'm talking, recognize maybe like my speech pattern and blah blah blah. And but that's just as the information is entered. How many times do I use a phrase in a certain different kind of way? Well, the database is bigger and it's linked up with everybody. You know what I mean? So, but it's not. You know, I mean, I'm not worried about machines getting smart and taking over the world. The only thing that we have to worry about from that is like another person uh, patching in and using an aggregator to pull together all of our bits of information from across the interwebs, and they can steal our ideas and wreck our credit. Now, I'm not too worried about that personally because I have no financial credit, and that's okay. Uh, so, and there's no way that I'm going to be worried about establishing a false line of credit. So, but if you're a person of some means, maybe you want to take some safeguards against that. But that's not AI doing that. That is other people, you know. And I don't think we have to worry about Terminators coming to get us, and I don't think we have to worry about the robots from the Matrix coming after us, because whatever. The thing about life, until a thing is entirely broken and sad and tired and resolved to the ending of itself, uh, it wants to live. It has desire to continue forth and live. The whole motivation, the whole everything in life, you, me, everything, every microbe that would be considered life. Even if there's not an awareness, the one thing that it does, and that is your plants, your flowers that reach and grow towards the sun, and the roots that grow in the direction of water in the soil. Everything wants to live. Then the description of life to me is a behavior that reaches out towards continuance, and until that thing realizes, okay, now it is time to pass on. And I do believe that, you know, and even the forms of life that do not have thought as we think of thought, there is still uh, a drive, you know, uh, that it obeys to that purpose. You know, I don't believe inanimate, non-living uh, objects will have that. Of course, there is this scientific bit of information that our thoughts are electrochemical. So, should we combine electricity with chemistry in an artificial life and create? We're talking about taking programs and putting them in, you know, mobile creations like little toy dogs or anything like that. We're talking about giving them enough. Yeah, I don't. Without, if it's not biology, if it's not life, if it biology is the study of life. But if it's not bio, if it's not life, it has no awareness. Do you know? It's like I press this button and the light comes on, and I press this button and there's a sound, but it is because I've made it. It's because I've told it. So I don't think we have to worry about that. So there you go. My little thing about artificial intelligence. But how did I start talking about that? Oh, I was talking about me selling my art on Facebook. So yeah, and so I don't have the Facebook anymore. I have the YouTube. You can buy my art here. Get in touch with me in the comments or whatever, and we'll work it out. If you don't like anything that I have available as far as the art that's been seen on my channel, we can talk. And what I really love to do, the connection that I love to make with people as an artist, I love to make connections with people who have space in their workspace or their living space or their vacation spot, wherever it is. You have just this place on one of your walls or one of your displays or whatever, that there's room for more display. And I love to talk to you about that space, the art from other people, or the whatever else surrounds it, everything. And I love to work on commission for uh, a piece of art that will perfectly fit the area in which you want to display it within your life. I love to make art to fit your life. You know, my favorite medium, of course, is acrylic painting, and yeah, that exchange of ideas is wonderful. So, uh, yeah. So this is Coke Zero, but I don't have canned sodas right now. I have 2 liter bottles that I'm pouring my soda out of 2 liter bottles. My big my big vice these days is Coca Cola, Coke Zero. I will tell you this, and I've talked about this, and then I'm going to round it. I'm going to tell this bit of my story, and then I'm going to close it off because it's coming close to an hour and a half, and I think maybe I'm going a little long for this. Um, I was diabetic several years ago. They told me that I was type 2 diabetes, and I don't know. I just kept thinking to myself, well, and when they first diagnosed me, I was like, I cannot let the 10 or 15 pounds that I need to lose in order to make it easier for my body to not be diabetic. I can't let that be the reason why I, am diabetic. And maybe if I hurt myself one day, it won't heal because I'm diabetic and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? It's a progressive thing. It was like, I felt the progression. It was like, okay, this is, maybe I'm just barely type 2 diabetic, but if I don't get a handle on this, one day it's going to take over my life uh, in a very obsessive kind of way. I was either going to go forward into the diabetes and just like surrender to, oh my God, this is my life now. Eh. I was either going to have that or I was going to get a positive vibe. And what was going to happen is I was going to get more physically active and I was going to take better care of my diet and I was going to learn as much as I needed to. And that's why, it's not so much about the food that I cook when I talk about food on my YouTube. It's kind of like, oh, well, here's a plate of food. And what I can do is eat some of it now and then set it aside and then come back to it. And it's about eating smaller portions, no matter what I'm eating, very small portions a few times throughout the day. Uh, and and then probably about once a week, I fast for a day. I don't mean intermittent fasting. I mean, I pretty much very strictly fast and pretty much for the most part stick to a keto diet. And I don't really talk about that or just, show my plate of food as often as I used to. Um, that's why basically the videos have been fewer on my channel. It's like, oh my God, things are getting redundant. So I had to get like new things to talk about too coming up. So, and by the way, there are some good things coming up. In 2 days, I'm going to go see a show that's going to be fabulous. I'll have my two best friends with me, and we're going to go see A Taste of Ireland. It's basically the history of uh, the Irish nation, So, as interpreted through dance and everything. So that's kind of cool. Uh, and this is a limited U.S. run, and then it's going to go on a world tour. But yeah, that's what it is. So basically, but through that action, making that decision to okay, diabetic, and I can't let this be the start of the end. Uh, so I'm, when they talked about some healthy lifestyles and everything, it was like, oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I've already given up dope and the crazy life basically. So if this is just basically what I had to approach it the same way that I approached giving up drugs. I'm a recovered addict, and so basically, yeah, I took that same mentality. Okay, well, this is just a whatever. It's not like I've not changed things in my life before through decision and commitment. And so yeah, and it's successful within. I want to say within that first year and a half or so, I was no longer showing diabetic symptoms. And my A1C was like down to like 6.0, 6.1, right around there, right around that whole like no longer, if I had not been diabetic before and I went into test today, I would not be considered diabetic. The thing is, once you have diabetes, um, you have that diagnosis. You always have it. It's always there. They'll always consider you diabetic, even if even if I never again um, pop over a 6.5 or anything like that. If I I will always have that diagnosis, and that's fine. Whatever. But yeah, I'm like very healthy. You know with my A1C, so that's kind of cool. I never had to go on insulin. I had to do I guess for that first year or so, they had me like pricking my fingers like once or twice a day or whatever. I have a thing. I test it all the time, like just like every hour and a half, I was sticking a finger or whatever. It's like because I wanted to keep it, my keep my range and everything. So, but they would, yeah. Uh, they did a case study for my doctor's office. They wanted to know how I turned it around so fast, and they asked what my you know, did I have a regimen? How did I do it? And I told them I did it by means of obsession and compulsion. No, not really. But I did tell them the things that I did. Was I went keto diet was the motto that I went to, the model, not the motto, but a model that I followed mostly, even though I wasn't perfect. And then I got very active. And I decided to always be fidgety, always fidget, always stay in motion. And motion means calorie burning, even if it's just sitting in a chair and just kind of like bopping along with some music or something like that. So yeah, but yeah, that's. But the biggest component that I talked about was how much I manifested it through prayer, and not so much the lowering of my numbers and the losing of the excessive weight or anything like that. It was more like, it was manifesting the will to change my behavior in my life and my relationship with food and exercise that I needed to, you know. Um, and I really prayed and manifested that I haven't done for very many things, but for some things I really have. And when you put that much prayer and energy into it, you get results. You get results. So you know, uh, I'm not here to minister on a spiritual thing or anything, but if there's something that you want in your life, you know, uh, focus and meditate on it. Formulate a plan. Stick to it. And I pretty much believe for you that those goals will come to fruition. You know, some people not message board. Listen to me. Some people make an image board or a methodology. They put it on a board, a plan. And they say, "Here's this and this and this and this." You know, and you know, kind of like a collage of ideas in a ways. It's first about the goals that you want, um, but often, it's actually you're doing a markup of a plan of action towards this goal. So a lot of people do that. One of the last guy that I subletted from did this. He was working with his dad's masonry company, and he wanted to work for himself, and he sunk everything into um, getting this fourplex in the neighborhood, this little fourplex apartment, four apartments in one house. And he began to, and I mean, he didn't own it outright. He was paying, mortgage down on it. And so what he did was he leased that out. And he was leasing an apartment, but then also he was subletting to me, probably for a bigger, good chunk. It worked for me though, um, and it was such a really awesome, peaceful situation too, because the house was big enough that I could have my own little area, and our paths hardly ever crossed. It's like great, you know, great subletting little rental kind of situation. Room rental kind of thing. But anyway, but we became really good friends. We're still good. We see each other around. We still have good vibes, whenever our paths cross. But he uh, um, did a you know, uh, a dream board or a goal board. He did it. He took a plan and he wrote it out and he set this date. I have this date. I want this goal to be accomplished by this date. And he knew his plan of action. He knew his plan. He thought it out, and it was this goal on this date, so forth and so forth and so forth. And today, he works in and around town um, with some of the greatest licensed realtors, and yeah, he's you know he's a self-made success. So that was kind of cool. I appreciate that. Um, it's a fun little story. A lot of people do that. What am I talking about? Nothing. Nothing. Basically, talking myself down until I get a little drowsy. So maybe I want to take a little snooze or whatever. But yeah, it's got to be. It's got to be close to like 2:45 ish now. So Ziggy, what time is it?
It's 2:50 a.m.
2:50 a.m. I have a decent internal clock. I used to be a hairstylist. My hair's all frizzy and messed up right now. Like I said, there's no conditioner in it. Uh, to keep it from frizzing right now. So that's why it looks terrible. But it but in that time, uh, I knew when 25 minutes had passed, 15 minutes had passed. I knew when 5 minutes had passed internally in my mind just how long it would take uh, for, say, chemicals to process on someone's hair once I was doing a chemical process. This was in the 80s and late 80s going into the early 90s when I got really interested in hair, and um, the 90s when I officially started going to school and my training uh, for cosmetology. And just innately, I picked up um, a hellacious sense of timing. Most people were riding around or walking around or checking things out. Or if someone asks me what time it is, I'm usually within like 15 or 20 minutes of the correct time. I don't know, and a lot of times I'm a lot closer to it than that. Like, oh, it's got to be close to 3 o'clock, and it's 2:50 like that. So okay, I'm talking myself into a dry throat again. Everybody, love and light, peace. Good night.